What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I have been very busy this week, but in the meantime, I've been conducting my research and I have some pretty important news to bring to you guys in regards to El Salvador finalizing their Bitcoin rollout, Social Security running low, adding BTC to your 401k. We have Mastercard news. We have the Bitcoin cashback BlockFi card. And we also have some very important news about Celsius in the state of New Jersey. But if you guys hang tight, we'll get to that in a bit. So as you can see here, the Twitter account that I have pulled up is Nayib Bukele. This is the president of El Salvador, which finalized their Bitcoin rollout to their citizens. As you guys know, they made it legal tender as of the 7th of September. So I'm pretty late on this news, but it is still relevant. During the previous dip, we're still in the dip right now, that happened about a week and a half ago, the president added 150 new coins to their arsenal in their reserves, which brings them up to a total of 550 Bitcoin. Now, if you ask me, this is a pretty bold move, as there is so much negative sentiment for making Bitcoin legal tender because it is not regulated and there is so much alleged fraud going on in the space. That's what a lot of regulators will tell you. Now going on to the next tab. Oh, there we go. Going on to this next tab, El Salvador to give every citizen $30 in Bitcoin for downloading the government crypto app. This is a pretty neat and innovative way to distribute their newly legal tender in their country, which all they did was had their citizens download an app. They had $30 worth of Bitcoin and US dollars in their account ready to use, which if I were any of those citizens, I would store that away immediately, put it in an interest account or anything like that. Even if you hold it outside of an interest account, Bitcoin is still profitable year over year on its own, as it is deflationary. So El Salvador will give every adult citizen about $30 in Bitcoin, provided they download and register the government's cryptocurrency app, known as Chivo, according to President Nayib Bukele. The nation's 39-year-old president made the announcement late Thursday during a televised, so this was September 7th, presentation where he tried to explain what will happen when El Salvador starts treating Bitcoin as legal tender after Bukele's so-called Bitcoin law takes effect on the 7th. Now, a lot of news media was covering that the citizens were not so pleased with the conversion over to Bitcoin, which they were mad, and they had every right to be, because back in 2001, El Salvador actually changed their currency before to US dollars. So the legal tender in El Salvador was the US dollar as of 2001. They converted from the colon. And back then, they actually converted every citizen's account to US dollars from the colon. And as the US dollar is a reserve asset, a reserve currency, it was way stronger than the colon. So when they did the conversion, they also rounded up. So all of the goods and services in El Salvador was priced heavily on the plus side due to the conversion of their weak currency to the US dollar. And the locals thought that would happen with Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is the strongest currency, so they thought the goods and services would be priced up even more. But that was not the case. They still have the US dollar as legal tender. It will just be working along in parallel with Bitcoin. And I just want to revisit the previous tab for a second because I've seen something that really disturbed me. So if you guys know, well, you guys should know, Peter Schiff, a very prominent gold bug, successful investor of his time, said, if your goal is to make a poorer nation poorer, then you are well on your way to success. And one thing that struck me about this post was usually the most ignorant people in the room are the loudest. And he is always bashing the Bitcoin space and bashing those who are bold enough to take that next step into the digital financial age that we're moving into. And if you guys remember the debate that Anthony Pompliano and Peter Schiff had, he was pretty much going back and forth with Pompliano about how Bitcoin has been stagnant and or not promised to gain 100+% year over year, as it is the most profitable asset of all time. And Pompliano responded with, gold has been down 3% over the past 3 years, which was pretty funny to me. And he is not everything he is made to be. Yes, he is a successful investor, but I would take his advice with a grain of salt. Doing your own research would be way more profitable than just taking a word from a successful billionaire involved with Wall Street. And moving on. So, are Social Security benefit cuts a real possibility? Yes, it is. And I will show you guys how. So, Social Security's trustees on August 31st issued another somber annual report that, as in previous years, warned of the pending depletion of reserves. The current projection is that the trust fund backing retirement benefits only will run out of money by 2033, a year earlier than estimated in the 2020 report. So every year that they release this report, the current projection is progressively depleting, and they keep moving the years back almost 1 year every year they publish the report. And if we go to the next paragraph, it is another wake-up call that Congress needs to do something, and sooner the better. And that just makes me think, I don't see them actually running completely out of money. I can see definitely paycheck cuts as to the people who are currently receiving the benefits now. They may receive a paycheck cut. Like I said, I really don't see them running completely out of money, running dry, as we have an infinite access to fiat dollars courtesy of the reserve. That's pretty much all I have to think about that. Let's go ahead and move on to the next tab. So anyone who has a 401k, I think this would be very beneficial to you if you have a self-directed 401k, excuse me. You can invest it into Bitcoin as another exposure to a different asset class. So if you have a self-directed IRA and you only invest in stocks, bonds, and all that good stuff, you can also invest in the cryptocurrency space with your self-directed 401k, which also provides a tax incentive, a tax benefit to you, because you do not get taxed right away when you invest, dip in and dip out of the markets and invest in something else. And as you can see here, my first highlight, you have access to 1,600 cryptocurrencies, which pretty much covers the whole space. There are plenty more than 1,600, but I'm pretty sure this covers all of the main ones that you would want to be concerned about, all of the safe ones. By investing your 401k savings into Bitcoin, which can be achieved by converting your retirement plan into a self-directed, or if you already have one, you gain a huge amount of freedom of choice. That's because you'll be able to select from more options for your retirement plan than the conventional investment choices that are usually available in the market. And that's pretty decent. I like that they publish articles like this because it keeps me on my toes. And hopefully when I bring this news to you guys, it keeps you on your toes and gives you another avenue of approach if you're trying to save on taxes and or make your 401k look a little bit more attractive. This can also protect you from inflation. So if you have a portion of your 401k in stocks, that's cool. The stock market also has a tendency to go down. But if you have a portion of your 401k in cryptocurrency as well, you have a completely uncorrelated asset. The stock portion of your 401k goes down, so you will still be in the safe, you'll be in the green, and that is pretty much all I'm worried about when it comes to my retirement plan. And moving on to the next one. Mastercard acquires major crypto forensics outfit, CipherTrace. So before I get into reading the paragraphs, Mastercard and Visa have been not dominating, but they have significantly stuck their foot in the door when it comes to the crypto space. They do not want to be left out, and it is rightfully so that they provide all of the services that are most beneficial to cryptocurrency users to maximize their exposure to the market and also make it safe, which we'll get into on the last tab about safety in the crypto space. So Mastercard's focus on crypto and digital currencies appear to have taken a greater dimension given the company's recent move. According to a release on Thursday, the global payments giant has reached an agreement to acquire CipherTrace, a blockchain intelligence firm with crypto forensics capabilities over 900 cryptocurrencies. And that just lets me know that they're continuously diving deeper into the space and getting their foothold so they are not left behind when it comes to the transition into the digital financial age. According to the announcement, Mastercard will combine its cyber capabilities with CipherTrace technology to differentiate its card and real-time transactions payments architecture. For Mastercard, the deal will allow clients and partners to adopt digital assets while maintaining compliance with financial regulatory provisions. If you guys don't know, so what Mastercard and Visa are doing in this space right now for crypto users are offering a bunch of credit cards, debit cards, and anything you want to use your cryptocurrency for as payments. So on the next tab, I actually have one from BlockFi that's backed by Visa. And that just lets me know that they're getting serious about the services that they are offering in the crypto space. Because if you have any kind of fraud on your account, they most likely won't be able to do much for you. But now that they have acquired CipherTrace, they can actually backtrack illicit payments and possibly get you not get you your money back if it's a credit card. But if it's a debit card, they can get you your money back. If it's a credit card, they will get their money back. That's pretty much all I have for this one. Moving on. So here is BlockFi's account, their webpage for the credit card that they're offering. Earn an unlimited 1.5% back on Bitcoin on every purchase with the BlockFi Rewards Visa signature card. I find it pretty cool. And just a warning for you guys who are looking for an exchange to call your home, or any exchange that you want to find yourself partnering with, however you use your cryptocurrency. I just want to put it out there that this exchange, this card provider with Visa, is not insured. Let me scroll down to the bottom. So a soft credit pool happens. Oh, so they actually do a credit history pool on your account if you apply for this card. Okay, so down at the bottom, what I see here, digital currency is not legal tender, is not backed by the government, and crypto accounts held with BlockFi are not subject to FDIC or SIPC protections. And that's just a little fine print that I wanted to point out to you guys there. One of my friends brought this up to me, and I do find this pretty cool, but I'm a little reluctant to dive into this one because they're not insured in any way. I don't know if that specifically applies to the card, which is a credit card, so it shouldn't really matter. It's their money that you're spending. Or a debit card, which they don't offer, but hopefully it applies to the account holders. Like if you send your crypto here and they're just like being a custodian for you, I hope they have some protections. But make sure you guys do your research when you're interacting with these exchanges. So on to the last one. New Jersey Bureau of Securities orders cryptocurrency firm Celsius to halt the offer and sale of unregistered interest-bearing investments. So as you can see, this applies to any residents of New Jersey. Let's scroll down here and see what they're talking about. So Celsius and similar companies are not regulated by New Jersey. Let me highlight here just so you guys can follow along. Are not regulated by New Jersey or the federal government like traditional banks and brokerage firms, and investors' losses are not insured against or protected by the Securities Investor Protection Corporation or the FDIC, as we were speaking about in the previous tab. So that's BlockFi and Celsius. Further, due to the volatility of cryptocurrency market and the lack of regulatory oversight, these platforms present a heightened risk of loss to investors. So don't let this language scare you. Celsius has done nothing wrong. They've simply just offered crypto services to New Jersey residents, and I'm pretty sure they do it globally as well. A lot of problems that we are having right now is regulatory agencies and individual agencies themselves regulating the crypto space by enforcement. So rather than putting out a framework that the crypto space can abide by, they're literally just watching the moves of the crypto space and filing lawsuits against them when it is convenient for that agency. And scrolling up to here, this just lets you know how long they have been watching them. Those unlawful sales, let me highlight here again, those unlawful sales have raised at least 14 billion for Celsius. So for them to make 14 billion in a long or short period of time, the state of New Jersey could have done something well before this has gotten way out of hand. And this is the same position that we are in with SEC v. Ripple, as they are currently under a lawsuit for selling unregistered securities applying to the XRP token. And one day we will get regulation and clarity for the space so we know how to conduct ourselves. Well, not us as individuals, but well, actually, the whole crypto space as a whole. We know how to conduct ourselves and know what is safe, what is not safe. A lot of these platforms today are safe because they operate on a centralized platform. Anybody can find them. Their names are linked. They're structural just like any other business. And it would be foolish of them to do anything wrong that would, point back to them. So when it comes to picking your exchange, definitely scroll towards the bottom, get the fine print, know if it is insured or not. I know a lot of people still go to these uninsured exchanges due to the fact that they know they haven't been malicious in their intent in any kind of way. They've been trustworthy over a certain period of time. And when you build that relationship, the customers will stay regardless of how you were looking in the regulatory platform. So that's the most important piece of news that I have today. And I thought it was really relevant. This one's hot off the presses as well. I believe when was this published? September 17th. So 2 days ago, my time zone. Today is the 19th. So I hope you guys use that information. If you are a resident of New Jersey, be on the lookout for halted trading and or email coming from Celsius. All right, so I wanted to start doing reviews like this because there is so much space to cover. And I just like to go over, the important points because there is so much, and even the elites that do research constantly in this space are still behind. So this is to ensure I hit all of the important points. Let's get right into it. So El Salvador is the first to make Bitcoin legal tender in their country. While they are the first, they are not the first country to harbor adoption of cryptocurrencies into their country. I know Venezuela did a piece, an article was released about remittances. So they allowed cryptocurrency to be counted in their economy's GDP as inflow and outflow. We have El Salvador finalizing the distribution of Bitcoin to locals. So like we talked about, they have the app, which is pretty neat. The easier you can make the facilitation of cryptocurrencies to the locals of your country, it will make it a lot easier, but they have been burned in the past. So that's the reason why they were mad and protesting in the streets, because they thought their accounts would forcibly be swapped to Bitcoin, but that's not the case. Nayib Bukele added 150 Bitcoin during the dip. So the country reserves is over 560 plus Bitcoin. If anybody tells you that the crypto space and or Bitcoin itself is not going to be successful, just look at the news. That's all I have to say. A lot of people will release articles about how Bitcoin is crashing, Bitcoin is in a free fall, and they love to use words like that when it's only a 10% dip. This may be crucial to the Dow Jones, the S&P, but this is a totally different space. You have to know what you're talking about when you're in the crypto space because it's just not the same. Our next point here, Social Security is gradually declining. So within that article, it showed that individuals need to be preparing on their own. They are not going to help you. If they do end up cutting checks in the future, cutting the amount that the recipients are getting, that's it. You need to be confident in your own retirement fund and being at peace when it comes to knowing you have an appreciating asset that's a part of your 401k, or even if you're preparing your retirement, whoops, I bumped my mic. Even if you're preparing your retirement outside of a 401k, you know if it is in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin as a whole, it is an appreciating asset, and it has been for the past 9 years. And I will keep saying this. The greatest, one of the greatest performing assets in history. Consider adding BTC to your 401k. For all of my self-directed 401kers out there, that news was specifically for you, and I hope you can find that useful. Payment processors, payment processors, sorry, I'm a bit tired, are into crypto. Keep an eye out on that. And if you guys have any questions, any concerns, either reach out to the company you're trying to partner with, or use their cards and participate in their services, or reach out to me, reach out to a friend that is knowledgeable in the crypto space. There is plenty of brains to pick out there. Just make sure you guys are staying safe. The BlockFi credit card, we talked about that. They have cash back in Bitcoin, so it's not in US dollars, which I find pretty cool. You can kind of stack your Satoshis, which is the Bitcoin divided into smaller portions. So that will do it for this one. I hope you guys like the new format with the overview at the end, just to make sure I hit all of the good talking points. If you found this helpful, please share it with a friend, a family member, and or both. Until next time, see you.